idea what this team's going to be like right now, or do you still kind of have to see how everything's going to shake out?
We still have to see. I mean, we have a much better idea now than we did 3 weeks ago. I think we know kind of who our top 10 players are in the rotation. Um, we know roles. Our guys understand their roles, but I think we're going to be looking for combinations. Um, the last couple of years that worked itself out pretty quickly, and last year was just a carryover from the year before. Not much adjustment, but this year there's some pretty big adjustments to make, just in terms of lineups and getting comfortable together.
You know your top 10. Would that be Clark and McCaw at 9-10 and not a second big off the bench?
Yeah, I would say that with the caveat that any of our bigs could play on any given night based on matchups. And they're all pretty different. McAdoo's a small, fast five. JaVale gives us a size and athleticism. Andy gives us size and just kind of that veteran savvy. Any of those guys could step in and play an important role from one night to the next. But I think that'll be more based on matchups than anything.
Obviously, you've had a ton of talent in the past couple of seasons, but when you add Kevin Durant, do you feel like you have more pressure to make this group work and then function at a high level, or do the players have more pressure to perform?
Oh, we all do. That's just, I don't really get into rating how much pressure each person has. We all have pressure, but that's a good thing. I mean, the alternative is, hey, maybe we can win 30 this year instead of 25. Who wants that? And that's, unfortunately, a lot of the teams in the league have that. Teams that are going through rebuilding stuff, and they're trying to get to where we are. So we're in a really enviable position. We know how lucky we are to be together with this group. We understand the responsibility that comes with it. But that's fine. It's a good position to be in. Yeah, it does. It does. And it's the Spurs, so it makes it even more fun. And I can't wait to see Pop down on the other sideline. And it's amazing. I still have teammates from the Spurs that are on that team, and I'm old as dirt. So that means they too are now old as, maybe not dirt, but like dust. They're old as dust.
How is having Duncan going to change that team?
Yeah, that'll be interesting. I saw a great note today that last time somebody else started at the 4 was Carl Herrera. Is that your note? Somebody. I think I saw it online or something. But 1996, 97. It's crazy. But what Tim has meant to that franchise, where do you begin? But if you just look at on the court, he's been, to me, the anchor of the defense. You can talk about his offense all you want, but he's been the anchor of that defense, which has been consistently one of the best in the league year after year. And I think that'll be interesting. They have very, very capable defensive players. Obviously, Kawhi is the reigning defensive player of the year. But Tim's your quarterback, your middle linebacker, and I'm sure that's a big part of this season is going to be adapting to life without him.
How adjusted is Kevin? Does he have everything down, or is he still trying to figure out what you guys do?
He's light years beyond 3 weeks ago. Am I allowed to say light years?
Yeah,
All right, light years from when we started camp. But he still has some learning to do. But he's really picked up on just kind of the way we play. There's a little chaos, but there's some pattern to the chaos, and I think he's embracing the chaos for sure. He loves the movement. He loves to make plays. He's enjoying playing with the shooting backcourt because they can space and he can make plays, and vice versa. So I think he's really adapting well and fitting in well. But it's only been a few weeks, so the little nuances, there's still stuff that he's going to figure out.
Speaking of chaos, what do you think about his involvement in the Kanye West concert last night?
Oh yeah. That's I cut practice short a little bit today because I saw you got a great workout last night. So.
Do you think he's assimilated well into living in the Bay Area, being welcomed by the community?
I know he has. You know, we've talked a lot about. You know, I ask him all the time, "What'd you do yesterday? What'd you do last night?" And you know, I know he's been into the city. He's been around Oakland. He's trying to get to know his surroundings as well as possible. And let's face it, this is a beautiful part of the world and a great interesting place to live. And he's having fun and he's getting used to everything and enjoying himself.
You always talk about having joy, playing with joy, with the, you know, obviously the kind of quotation marks, the villain talk with you guys. You've had fun with that, but have you had to emphasize the joy part? Do you have to do that with these guys? And obviously, all the stuff that's been around Durant's decision to come here and the criticism. Is joy out?
We haven't had to try to force it. It's what we do anyway. I think, you know, part of our philosophy is just come in and have some fun. Let's get our work in, but let's have some fun. And we have a staff and a group of players that there's a lot of humor involved. They enjoy themselves. Now, I will say this: 2 years ago, it was all very innocent, and nobody expected anything out of us, and we'd come in and have fun, and nobody asked us if we were having fun. But now, even the very act of being asked if we're having fun can kind of explain. Yeah, it's almost like the spotlight is so bright that we're going to get asked about everything, and so you have to be able to deal with that, sort through all that, and still just come to practice and do what we do. And our guys are doing a good job of that.
Are you having fun?
Yeah. I'm having fun. Our guys are having fun.
Have you been taken back by any of the headlines just that's generated by your team that just become, you know, Durant headlines, Draymond headlines, whatever, in the last few weeks, months, just because you're so big? Is any of them kind of, whoa, that's, even for us, that's a little strange?
I don't think so. I was asked yesterday about the MVP stuff, and I kind of went on a little joking monologue about, you know, guys taking votes away from each other, and because I think I was asked specifically, are KD and Steph going to take away votes from each other, and I gave a not very amusing analogy of like Gary Johnson and Ralph Nader, and played it into the electoral season, and at least Ann laughed. Thank you, Ann. Yeah, it wasn't really that funny, but I think I ended it with, so those guys are all out because they're all going to take votes away from each other, and Damian Lillard's going to win the MVP. And it was, and then there were some headlines like Kerr says Lillard's going to win the MVP. So sometimes, you know, the tongue-in-cheek part isn't noticed. What's that? Well, somebody did ask me, well, who does that make Trump? You know, because I think I said KD was Gary Johnson and Steph was Ralph Nader, taking votes from everybody. Somebody said, who does that make Trump? And I didn't answer.
I bet KD knows a little.
What's that? Nobody on our team. That's what I said. That's right.
How different does this season opener feel versus last year? And how much do you think this core group just needs to get back on the court and get this season started?
Well, it's a lot different for me because I'm actually here, which is really nice. It's great to be with the team and preparing for opening night, and that's a big difference from last year. But as far as our team, the biggest difference is, I've said this a few times, last year was just we're picking up where we left off, and it showed. We won our first 24 games, and we were right out of the blocks. But this year, there's a lot more of a feeling out process that's going to happen over the next few weeks, and we're not settled on the rotation and how it's going to look. We're still experimenting, but hopefully we get better while we're going through that.
Within the structure of your offense, do you anticipate there'll be nights where you just run motion or dummy or something and just let the ball move and it finds whoever it finds?
We kind of do that every night anyway. I mean, we're, controlled chaos. We go through some games where we don't call many plays at all. But the important thing is finding the balance, and that's the tricky part. You know, we've got a lot of plays. Can we find the balance between throwing the ball ahead and just playing basketball and moving and passing and cutting, and then executing under pressure when we need to call a play. And it's not an easy balance to find, and that's probably our biggest challenge offensively as the season starts.
A guy that Kevin has seemed to play well with, you talk about combinations, maybe other than Steph and Clay, that just you've seen Durant just seem to gel with?
Well, he's so good. He generally plays well with everybody, but I think what we're looking for is not so much who Kevin plays well with, is what happens when Steph goes off the floor. You know, that's been the case for the last 2 years. You know, who are the right guys when Steph leaves, and it's still the case even with KD. We're still trying to find the right combination with KD without Steph. Things seem to change dramatically when Steph goes off the floor. Even this year, you know, we can put plenty of talent on the floor, but the game changes. You know, and we have to get better with our execution when he's off, and that means finding the right group around Kevin.
So, who do you like in the World Series? I know
Well,
your Dodgers are out.
I absolutely am pulling for the Cubs because my son is a huge Cubs fan from our Chicago days, and so I'm rooting for my son. But I do have a little rant to go on, if you don't mind, since you opened the door for me.
Ran on.
So the Cubs won like 10 or 12 more games than Cleveland, and they went like 15-5 against the American League. This is from my son. He gave me this last night at the dinner table. So, and yet Cleveland gets home field because of something that happened in the All-Star game that involved players neither from the Cleveland or the Cubs in many respects. You know, I can't even imagine in the NBA, like if the All-Star game, like you play 82 games, those guys play 162, and we're going to play an exhibition game that determines, who's going to host the most important event. To me, that's crazy. So I'm glad we don't do that in the NBA.
This is your son. He's a Cubs fan.
Cubs fan, yeah, because and I'm actually I grew up a Dodger fan, but love the Cubs through my son, and for years I was an Indians fan from when I played in Cleveland, and I used to go to Indians games, and Kenny Lofton was my college teammate. He was playing for the Indians, so I've actually had a great postseason watching all these teams that I've followed, between the Giants here in the Bay, the Dodgers, Cubs, Indians, it's been really fun to watch because I kind of have a connection in many ways, an allegiance to a lot of these teams, but I love it.